Hey guys, this is Turok, and today I want to do a kind of a talking overall review video of Wednesday, the Netflix series. And I won't be doing like this is going to just be my usual kind of talking about stuff. I'm certain there'll be much better reviews out there, but I felt like talking about it a bit because I thought it was a great show. And I also want to point out this is going to be a spoiler talking review thing. Yeah, so I'll put words on my screen when I do the edit. So yeah, this show I knew was coming out, but I didn't realize it had come out like just a month ago, I think. And how was I saying it? Trying to keep my thoughts in order. I know there was a trailer and I seen part of it. Because I remember this, the only part I really remember about it, that I went and rewatched the trailer midway as I was watching the series, and I kind of wish I hadn't, because it spoiled me that Uncle Fester, it's re-spoiled me that Uncle Fester was going to be in it, as I was watching it this weekend, I forgot all about that part, but, so anyways, I didn't know, I decided to watch that this weekend instead, to take a break from, I played a lot of video games the last month, and I needed to watch something instead. And I couldn't put this show down. Now, this show is not perfect. I'm seeing some comments and stuff pointing out some obvious flaws that even I didn't really think about. But I still recommend it. It's like, compared to watching some other stuff I've seen, like the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, or watching The Witcher, or even, what's the other one? The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian's okay too, but this is the first time I've been really entranced with the story since I watched the early part of Game of Thrones. And I really do hope there will be a second season, because overall I think there was a good job done here, but there are some parts I felt could be fixed up, mostly with like, I guess, pacing. But anyways, my history with I wanted to see this show. When I heard of this show was out, and I realized I wanted to see it right away because I was a big fan of the movies from the 90s that were had Raul, Julia, how do you say that? I'm not good at Spanish. And what's her name again? No, I can't think of her name. Who plays Morticia? It'll come back to me later. And as well as Christina Ricci, who really comes back in this show, which is great. And Christopher Lloyd. So I really like those films, and I'll probably rewatch one of those this week when I have time to get re-familiar with that. And this show feels like it basically, as far as tone, starts with that as the base, but then amps up the serious factor instead of being more of a comedy. This is quite more of a combination of being the Addams Family with quite a bit of Harry Potter-esque stuff in it, some teen drama stuff, which is part, I think, that where some people seem to find a little weak, but I thought some of it was done pretty well, as well as this small town theme, these themes of small towns, people finding, being, rather close-minded and not liking outcasts. That's a big theme in here with that. And, what's I going on? Yeah, the movie. So, anyways, where should I start next? So this series takes place at a point in the modern times, and but instead of the children being, and of course the focus is Wednesday, and Wednesday and Pugsley in this are older than you've seen them in the movies and probably in other media too. Wednesday in particular probably being close to 17 or so. She's definitely supposed to be in that later teenage era, and you can tell that's like also part of the angle of the marketing of who the viewership they're probably hoping to watch this, and thankfully it's not so cringy as some stuff I've seen on the CW, which I think is also angled toward that age demographic. So yeah, the Addams are in modern times now. This is but now we got Wednesday in her teens and Pugsley not far behind, and the setting here primarily takes place in this fancy school that we never heard of before, I think, in the media, And it's kind of odd in a way because we find out that the Gomez and Morticia went to this school in their youth, and I don't get why. This is one of the flaws I saw. I thought, why didn't they send Pugsley and Wednesday to the school right away? They certainly seemed like this was a place that certainly would have been more fitting for them, because using this setting, because I'm not saying this is how it should have been in the older media, because I bet this seemed probably as a creation of the of this new series of the producers or writers, Tim Burton or Miles Miller or Alfred Goh, whoever and the writers probably all put this together. So we have this school that's the Harry Potter setting for the film. It's a school where all these kids can come together who are, most of them are like of other sentient creatures. There's werewolves and vampires, as well as two species from Greek mythology, which I really appreciated, sirens and gorgons, that primarily go there, as well as other people who just have gifts that make them, so they can be accepted there. So there's a boy there who's one of the main characters who's an artist, and he can make his creations come to life. There's a character with telekinetic powers, and Wednesday in this develops powers to see the future, a la the character from the Dead Zone. If you've seen that, or know, if there's other series where you have a character who can touch objects or people, you'll get the idea. She does that, and that becomes part of a skill that helps her with the story. And the story focuses around a murder mystery in this. And so, but first, the beginning is that the premise is that Wednesday and Pugsley are attending a regular school. I assume then they must live in New England, because that's where this other Nevermore Academy will be, that they attend later. And we see that Wednesday's become rather, I guess volatile is one way to put it, because in the beginning, Pugsley's got bullied, and he's been tied up, put in a locker, and Wednesday uses piranhas as revenge on these kids who bully Pugsley because they're part of a varsity swim team. And this is not an incident that's been she's done to other people, and she seems to be on thin ice in that way. And it looks like the other family wanted to press charges, but with Gomez and Morticia's power / money influence, they are able to avoid that. But they had to get therapy. That's right. That's right. I was thinking about that earlier. Was she really in trouble? Yeah, because they mentioned a judge involved. So this is an interesting point, because the Addams Family is a rather weird group of people that like to do morbid stuff, but they're not strictly out there, I guess, murdering people. Although Fester looks like, I guess Fester's supposed to be like a criminal. It looks like thievery is his thing, though. Robbing banks and stuff like that. But Wednesday has gotten herself in trouble before, and now she's got to see a therapist, or she has maybe seen one, and throughout the series she sees one that's in this small town near the school she'll be going to. And so she goes to this new school with the other kids, and where to go from here? Some of the thematic stuff that we find with this school, though, is that there's they call themselves the outcasts here, and this is kind of linking back a little bit where you got like Harry Potter, where the wizards and witches of that world. Well, it depends on that storyline, what country they're from. In the UK, they call the humans, the non-magical peoples. Non-magical human beings, Muggles, and in America, in the movies with Newt Scamander, the Americans called No-Mages. And in here, so they're people who attend the school. They call themselves outcasts, and normies are referred to as human beings who are without any sort of, who aren't vampires, werewolves, etc., or with magical gifts. And so she goes there, Wednesday goes there, and she's becoming the early part of the story is basically her getting involved in the normal day-to-day stuff, and her trying to plot to escape. So I guess I should break down Wednesday's character a little bit too. No, wait, sure, I'll do that last. So she's going in there, and no, first she's kind of going in there. I'll stick to this. She's going in there and wanting to escape because she's become so precocious and self-sufficient, at least mostly in her mind, that she wants to escape and strike out on her own and become a writer. And but toward the end of the first episode, in the first episode does a good job as like a pilot to really get you ensnared in there. We see we start meeting the other characters, which I'll introduce to talk about in a minute. That by the end of the first episode, she is nearly killed twice by this one student who claims that she is a danger to the school and that his mother warned him about her. And Wednesday is actually saved by some mysterious monster that kills this kid by the end. And so later, for the rest of the series, Wednesday is interested in staying at the school to find out who would want to do this. Although this part too kind of bothers me that she would want to stay because in a way her lack of self-interest in other stuff kind of like make me think that she would rather like get out of there and just not make it her business. But I think part of that is just that she's interested in the danger and adventure of it, which I can kind of get. But that one flaw with that, adding on to this later, she starts to care a bit about the school in a way that at first kind of struck me as wrong. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah, in some ways, some of the motivations behind her seem they seem to kind of contradict each other, where she's very, well, the part where her characterization of her emotional and her growth with friends worked for me, but her staying there, I'll leave it for now. I'll have to rewatch it. So anyways, so I'm going to introduce the other characters a bit. So we have a pretty good, not pretty good, I would say good, well-rounded cast of characters here. We have this principal named Weems, who is actually an alumni of the school who went during the same time as Gomez and Morticia. And she's there. She's primarily trying to keep an eye on Wednesday because she takes her duty as a principal very seriously in protecting the students, and knows also because Wednesday's planning on escaping early on, she's trying to make sure that she doesn't. We have Enid, who's a girl, a very bubbly type girl who is kind of gossipy and stuff, but she's well-meaning and very outgoing and talkative, and becomes Wednesday's best friend here. And she's also from a werewolf clan, but she cannot transform for the most part, until the end she'll transform. There's Xavier, who's the tall, popular boy there, and he's the artist I mentioned earlier who can make his creations come to life. There's Bianca, who's a siren, who's the most popular girl there, and Xavier were dating at one time. And who'd I forget? There's what's his name? 1 second. Eugene, who's also a young boy. He's like the youngest kid you'll see in the school, and he becomes Wednesday's friend too. And he's got a club where he takes care of bees. And Wendy joins his club because it's the only thing she can like tolerate, I guess. And also, I still got my Santa hat on because I want to feel Christmassy, even though most of our snow melted. And then there's who'd I miss? And then the last main character would really be the only other teacher that really focused on, other than I guess the principal, is Miss Thornwell, that's who Christina Ricci plays. Oh no, and then I forgot I forgot two other people. There's Sheriff Galpin, who is trying to. I missed a couple other characters. He's there trying to track down the creature because this thing is killing other people other than I forgot. It's killing other people living around the community. In the beginning, it shows like a hitchhiker who's passing through, get killed. And then there's also the mayor, who's him and the sheriff are pretty good friends. And also the other major character I forgot to mention, I guess I didn't think of him right away because he's not a student there, is a kid named Tyler, who's the son of the sheriff as well. And him and that boy Xavier form a little bit of a love interest with Wednesday in this series. And wait, I think I missed one other thing. And Uncle Fester shows up in here, and he's somewhat prevalent later on. Oh, and as well as this other therapist named Dr. Kinbot. And I think that rounds out. Oh, and Thing, the character Thing, the hand, he rounds out. He's there with Wednesday throughout the whole series and stays with her and helps her out quite a bit. The most important character in here without any lines. And then there was like one other character that Enid likes named Ajax, who's in here a bit. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, that's all the characters we got. And so we get the stuff you would expect from this series. There's a mystery going on. We don't know exactly who is who's doing what, because the principal and early on looks like she's involved in something and covering this up. Because when this boy gets killed, the boy tries to kill. His name is Rowan, who tries to kill Wednesday. He's killed at the end of the first episode, but he appears to come back in the second. But we find out that it was the principal, who's a shapeshifter, is covering up his death so that Nevermore is. She's trying to, because the people of Jericho themselves. It's funny that only Jericho seems to know this, and like other people don't come there snooping around. Know that this school is full of weird people, and they probably some of them have figured out that these are not human. And so, as far as Rowan's death is concerned, Principal Weems wants to protect that. So we don't know why though. It looks like she's covering up, and for a while that looks like she might be behind something going on here. And then we have let's see, the sheriff. Let's see, who are the other people that look suspicious early on? Yeah, Xavier. So Xavier looks very suspicious early on because he's always showing up, and when there's other points in the series when that monster does. So and since we know he's not part of the other clans, or not a creature of any sort we know, werewolf, stuff like that. And this thing doesn't fit any description that we know early on. Xavier looks suspicious, and Dr. Kinbot too seems a little suspicious at one point. So the series goes on with these other incidents happening. And Wednesday starts slowly having these visions too, and then we start finding out there's some history going on here with the normies and outcasts, and this goes back to the times when pilgrims were here, because this is in New England, and we see that Wednesday Addams, her ancestor, the first Addams have come here, I guess, or her and her mother named Goody, Goody Addams and a family and other people who were outcasts, of various forms probably, were collected and executed via torching in a building by this guy named Joseph Crackstone as part of like during that witch trial era. So it seems like a lot of these, as pilgrims and other people were coming back then, colonizing the U.S., the continental Americas, the outcasts, the collective term for all these other beings, sirens, werewolves, etc., were coming there, and they had been when they were too close to these pilgrim communities, and they were found out that pilgrims were rounding them up, especially with this Crackstones community, and they were killed off. And this is the vision. This Goody Addams is contacting Wednesday through visions. This object, she gets an object from Morticia, I forgot to mention, and that seems to be a conduit to bring Goody back from the dead temporarily. Not back from the dead, but like allow her to come in a spiritual form temporarily to try and warn her. Because relating with like Rowan's mother, who we never really find out more about, it seems that Rowan's premonition of something coming back is true. I'll get more into that later. So Goody Addams is coming back and trying to warn Wednesday about this. And so Wednesday starts tracking down stuff about Crackstone and what happens next with that? And pause a second. So this goes on too. She starts investigating, getting these visions in that series. This goes on. The other people continue to get attacked by this monster randomly, like we saw with this hitchhiker. And there's like a guy who lived at this old house that Crackstone lived at, I think, a homeless man who's killed. And so most of these deaths don't mean anything like that, except that Wednesday realizes that the parts of the body is being taken by the monster. It's like some kind of trophy or something, we think at first. But eventually, because with the help of Eugene, because Eugene recognizes a picture. I forget where Wednesday got that picture. They find out where the thing's lair is, and Eugene eventually gets attacked by the creature himself, and fortunately he doesn't die. And this really makes Wednesday, the next half of the series, where Wednesday really is dedicated, because we know this part of the series, Wednesday is becoming you can tell she's starting to become like opening up to these other characters, like Eugene and her friend Enid. And when Eugene gets hurt, she really wants to solve this. And so the big turning point of this story that starts changing the perspective of this stuff comes in the fifth episode, where this Parents' Day thing happens, and we this other thread that was actually started from the beginning, where we find out that when Gomez was here years ago, he had been accused of murder. So that, but we found out later that it was actually Morticia, and this guy had come in there who hated apparently he was obsessed with Morticia, and I'm trying to remember if that was true. I gotta rewatch that part. But he was actually there to try to kill the other outcasts. And we find out that this family that they're part of, by the way, it was really Morticia that did it. No, I just did that. But we find out this family was part of the has some connections with Crackstone and wants to hates the school being there because of it's like. It seems like it's kind of like a oops, I gotta turn it all, that they're how do you put this? They still want to purge this place of these creatures that shouldn't be here in their eyes. The normies. Some normies here, yeah. That's a theme there. We see like the sheriff too. That the sheriff can't stand the school being there either, and he only tolerates it because he has to. And the mayor points it out to him a few times. And this is a future truck at the end. Putting this into the video, you'll see this in the middle of the video, or whatever, the 22 minute mark or something. I was talking just a bit ago about the Gates family, and yes, the younger Gates son there, it was obsessed with Morticia as a young lad before he died, and he was just stalking her at one point. But so what happens there is the family has for a couple hundred years or more been wanting to get rid of the school, and the night that the son is killed, we find that he's already dying because he'd been given nightshade poisoning, a vial of it by his father. So that's right. So Laurel must have made that nightshade poisoning. She must have, and the father the father must have found out too that Morticia was the object of what's the son's name again? 1 second. Yeah. Garrett, right. So Garrett, the father must have found out that Garrett was obsessed with Morticia, and he orders him at the night of the Raven party to prove himself by taking that vial of nightshade poisoning and using it to poison the punch, I think, so that to kill them all. So I had that part right. So they were attempting to finish the job there, to kill all them there, and also later on when this doesn't end well, because Laura reveals later to Wednesday, because I don't think I'll say this at the end of the video, that's why she changed her idea of her plan to stop them, to do that. Her idea to revive Crackstone comes sometime after this plan failed 30 years ago. So that's it. I'll interject this in the other part of the video. I guess I should just get to the main bit now. I didn't really expect to give a piece by piece, but as it comes down to the end, we start circling like Xavier as the creature and Kinbot is somehow involved with this. And where it becomes a focal point here is Fester shows up toward the... actually, first what I have to mention is that this family that was related to the guy who tried to kill the Gomez. What's their name again? Hold on a second. The Gates family. So the Gates family, what's his name? Garrett, the one who tried to kill the people, and then Laurel, right? Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the mayor. The mayor knows something, and eventually he's attacked by some assailant in a car, and later killed, taken off his life support so he can die because he figures out something about this. Shoot, where did I go? Where's that next bit then? So yeah, Fester comes in after this, and he figures out he recognizes the creature right away as being something called a Hyde, referencing Jekyll and Hyde. And then how the creature, what the creature's origin is in this story is that it's a mutation that just has a random chance of being inside certain people. I guess people who aren't already vampires, werewolves, etc. That can under whether a traumatic event or induced through some other ways, can just turn into this giant monster. And they're very volatile. And if somehow they're turned into this thing through someone else's help, the person who comes to hide becomes subservient to the other person who helped transform them. And Wednesday suspects that Dr. Kinbot, her therapist, is the one who made the Hyde, and that Xavier is the one who is the Hyde. But all is not as it seems. So I'll get down to the point here, and that we find out that really it's... let me see. So I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here before I get to the punchline. Yeah, she finds out basically that Tyler, the guy she's been interested in the whole time, Sheriff's son, he is the Hyde, and that the one controlling it is Mrs. Thornwell, the botanical teacher, who is actually Laurel Gates. Because we find out that the other Gates had been supposedly all died after Garrett was killed at the incident that involved the Addams parents. And but actually, the Garretts are descendants of the Crackstones who have been waiting for years, centuries, to help realize Crackstone's dream of killing off outcasts forever. Because apparently, Goody Addams, not apparently, it's revealed that Goody Addams somehow stopped him, was successful in stopping him and sealing him up in some way. Because he has some magical prowess that probably could have made him come back. So she had to seal him up. And so Thornwell, who's actually Laurel Gate, has come back under a guise to find a way to revive Joseph Crackstone. And her method of doing that is she gets these different body parts that to act as some kind of sacrifice, and she's using the Hyde, which is Tyler, to help her with that. And that part, by the way, is just that the Hyde is just Tyler's reason for being a Hyde is that his mother was a Hyde who attended the school at the same time, along with Principal Weems and Gomez and Morticia Addams. And Laura just exploits his ability to help her out, and that be the muscle, so to speak. And the key to all this is that she needs an Addams to, so in this case, it probably wouldn't have worked for Morticia. She needs actual Addams bloodline, so it would have needed, in this case, she wants to use Wednesday, so Pugsley or Gomez would have probably worked also, to have their blood to release this seal around Crackstone, around a coffin in this tomb that he's in. And so this comes to a culmination of a fight at the end where Crackstone is freed and he's going to try and destroy the school with his magic. And Wednesday is nearly defeated, but the spirit of Goody comes back somehow in a very interesting way to heal her, Wednesday. And Wednesday, with the help of Bianca, I think with Bianca, they stop him, Crackstone, and eventually they stop. First, while that happens too, there's a pretty good, but it's rather short. I was a little disappointed in this fight with Enid, who hadn't turned into a wolf, finally does, and she saves. Who she saves? Is it the wolf? Almost, yeah, kills Wednesday. Yeah, Tyler turns into. Finally, he's gonna try and kill Wednesday toward the end, and there's a pretty cool fight between Enid as a wolf and Tyler in his hide form, which I was slightly disappointed though that there wasn't more of it. Though I suspect because of budgetary reasons, the CGI was being expensive, they couldn't make too much of it. There was probably like less than 2 minutes of them being shown together fighting. Also, the fight with Wednesday and Crackstone I thought would have been a little longer. I guess I should be lowering my expectations for the TV show. This isn't the Avengers or something like that, but it still came out really well. And by the way, too, the one thing that really bothered me the most, and I'm hoping is not the case, is I had to backtrack a little bit. When Wednesday finally figures out because Eugene comes back and he gives a clue that changes the dynamic of who actually is behind this, because she thinks Kinbot isn't doing it, but then Kinbot is killed herself by Tyler the Hyde. I know, now I'm backtracking. Principal Weems shapeshifts as Tyler, and Wednesday tricks Laurel Gates into revealing her plan, but Weems is then killed and poisoned by Laurel in a way that was like, I thought was like, I don't know, I just thought that she wouldn't die. Like Principal Weems is one of the more annoying characters here, because she's like, you're suspicious of her the whole way through. She's very antagonistic in many ways, but her dying like that just felt a little unnecessary to the story. Like, she wasn't someone you truly cared about, so why really kill her? If you were going to kill off another character, it probably should have been someone else. All I can think of with this too is that they could probably, if there's another season, they're going to have another character, create a new character who's going to be the new principal, or maybe Gwendolyn didn't want to sign on for another season or something. But I didn't care so much for her being killed off, Principal Weems, that way. So, anyways, the final part of the season ends with the semester, I think, gets canceled the next semester because of all these events, because the school gets nearly destroyed by Crackstone. Weems is dead, so they need a new principal. And Xavier, who she was accused and chained up as locked up by being the killer because of Wednesday, gives Wednesday a phone and puts his number on it. But oddly, someone else there at the end is texting Wednesday actually no, it can't be him, because it's someone else taking a picture. I think takes pictures and sent it to Wednesday of him and of Xavier and Wednesday talking to each other, and apparently makes it known that they're stalking Wednesday. Let me check. Make sure I'm right with that bit quickly. Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's a picture. They show a picture of someone. The picture shows this person. This picture is them watching Wednesday with Tyler he worked at a barista throughout this story, and then a picture of Xavier when he gave her the phone. So somehow this person got the phone. So we're left thinking with Wednesday stating this as well, that she thinks someone else was behind Laurel Gates and Tyler's plan, and was initiating this, and this is the hook for the next season. So that's where it ends off there. So overall, really good stuff. So a couple of things bothered me about this series with some kind of inconsistencies, I thought, there was a couple of little storylines that were also thrown in here that didn't really, maybe they're going to be added to the other stuff, and I just thought they didn't need to be in here. And it's like some of it was with Bianca. Oh, that's one thing. Like there was Bianca. becomes very also I'm turning now because I got the cat here. Bianca is very antagonistic to Wednesday in the early part, but by the after like the 5th episode or so, she becomes an ally of sorts to to Wednesday, and it just the turnaround of it was a little too jarring for my liking. I would have thought it should be a little more, but she helps her out more to the end, and she actually provides a distraction too that makes saving Crackstone, destroying Crackstone possible. So that's good, but it just it seemed a little much of a 180 of her character. Then there was a little storyline going on with her and her mother that was thrown in there that I don't know if they're going to try and follow through more, because her mother, has some kind of business of sorts, like an organization that's more of a scam, it sounds like, where she gets people to give them money somehow, and I don't know if that's going to be used in the next storyline. And what was the other one? Not Eugene. Also, there was something with Xavier where they kind of gave him like 2 separate gifts, where he can have this gift that's early on shown with him having ability to turn paintings and make things come alive, and but then he talks about having like visions and stuff like that, and I was just wondering why they were having him have that without any sort of I don't know why he would have it, except that his father is supposed to be is a famous psychic, so I guess it's just supposed to be an inherited gift. Though I know they were trying to use some of that stuff to make it sound like he was the Hyde, because it was making it out like he probably was forgetting he's the Hyde, and that he's how would I say that? That he's just dreaming, these dreams and visions you have are really him just having these memories come back to him when he's transformed. But I just thought, okay, why have him have that other gift if he has this one? I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking that one. All right, that's probably about it. But I don't know, I'm overthinking it. Watch the show, it's a great show. I just wanted to talk about it for a bit. Yeah, that's it.